I have a yoga background where I actually got to teach him yoga. So this is a quote from Festus Ezeli. I was part-time teaching up until probably I am done. It doesn't really matter where you are on the journey, you just have to accept it. So this is a quote from Festus Ezeli. He is a retired NBA basketball player, and he used to play with the Golden State Warriors. And to put into context, I got home a little bit before and I should be packing because I am supposed to be moving tomorrow. But as you can see, I'm not packing. I got back from my physio appointment. I was doing a little bit of scrolling on my phone and I just saw this reel that Festus had posted. And I got back from my physio appointment and I got back. I've just recently done a little bit of scrolling and I saw that Festus had uploaded a reel and he was sharing that he soon is going to be traveling for the summer and I think that he's moving, and this was his last yoga practice or last yoga class at the studio where he practices, and it was Sunday morning, and he has shared some thoughts before and after the class. And he shared that it doesn't really actually matter where you are on the journey, you just have to accept it. And that that for me resonated with me, that I actually knew and met Festus 2013, and I met him through an event that my sister's friend had organized at the San Francisco Library, and he was at the time playing with the Golden State Warriors, and I guess they used to have the NBA Cares program where they had players go out to the community and do things with kids, or certain different things for the community, and it was a way that the players would give back. And so he was scheduled to read children's books to children at the time in this library in San Francisco. So I went along with my sister at the time because her friend had organized the event, and I got to meet Festus. And very fortunate, after that I actually got to teach him yoga, and so that's how we first connected, and we've been in touch ever since. I haven't met up with him again, our paths have not crossed, but I am always grateful to have taught an NBA player, guided an NBA player through a yoga practice. And I think what is really inspiring about Festus's story is that he actually grew up in Nigeria, and he was a very bright, and is still a very bright, intelligent man. And so he finished school early, and his mother, he graduated 4 years, I think he was 4 years advanced in school. And so he finished high school early at 14, and then moved to the States where he had an uncle and started college there. And because he was so tall, Festus is actually, I believe he is 7 foot tall, 6 foot, maybe he's 6'10", maybe he's 7 foot tall, something like this, extremely tall. And his uncle, he was actually studying medicine. So he was going to become a doctor, and the uncle, his Nigerian uncle, he's Nigerian, had said to him, look, with your size, you should think about playing basketball. So it was actually really amazing that Festus started really late in the game at 17 or 18 years old playing basketball. He then played college basketball and then obviously got drafted and became an NBA player. Yeah, he's always been doing different things through the community. He's become a motivational speaker. He retired early because he had a really big major injury and was put in a wheelchair for 6 months. So very inspiring young man. I believe he's now 30 something, maybe mid 30s. So yeah, it was very, very inspiring to put into context just the backstory of Festus. And for me, that I really wanted to share with you, that resonated with me, to inspire you and motivate you, that I wish always for my channel and for my content, and whether you just watch me here through YouTube or Instagram, that whatever area of life and whichever part of the world and whatever age that you're at, whatever life phase that you're in, it actually doesn't matter where you are. People get, and I used to get so caught up and so feel like I was in my lack when it comes to time, and that I think that I should have achieved X, Y, and Z because I'm at this stage of my life, or I'm at this age in my life, or I'm living in this part of the world. It actually doesn't matter where you are in your life journey, what age you are, where you're at with thinking that you've created success or you haven't created success, if you're married, if you're not married, if you're this or that. It actually doesn't matter where you are in your journey. You just need to be able to bring awareness and presence to where, and acceptance to where you are at. Like, having awareness and presence in the moment is the ultimate form of samadhi, where you're at one and peace with yourself. So the reason I share this is because my background before I became an entrepreneur, before I was a surfer, I have a yoga background where I began practicing yoga in 2004, just as a practitioner on the mat. And then I began teaching in 2007, and I was part-time teaching up until probably 2013, and then I began full-time teaching, and I retired from full-time teaching in 2020, and then that's when I stepped into the online world and began as an entrepreneur in the high-ticket space with affiliate marketing, everything that I share, content creation, like all the things for being an entrepreneur in the online space. However, the reason why that reel spoke to me, why it called for me to sit down now, because I actually should be packing, except of an evening to sit down and get into work mode has been really, really challenging. I found in the past, last year, the year before, if I had surfed and I was really tired in the day, I'd be able to have my afternoon, eat, have a little bit of downtime, and then I would work late into the evening. Now, I'm not sure if it's my age or if I'm just extra tired or whatever it is, but of an evening past 6, 7, 8 p.m, I am done. My mental capacity to show up and give 100%, 1000% for my business and give the right energy for when I'm creating content or doing something to do with my building business activities, or what I like to call them my wealth expansion tasks. I just don't have the same bandwidth and mental capacity and drive like I do in the first half of the day. So usually first thing in the morning, and then usually after Pilates, before I surf, I get into some good workflow. And then when I've finished surfing, if it's still the earlier part of the afternoon, not into the later afternoon, I'm able to do a few more hours there. And then once it gets to 6, 7, 8 p.m, I'm done. However, I got back and I really wanted to sit down. Yes, I need to be packing. My previous vlog before was about, I don't know, they were just random talking things. And again, I really wanted to sit down and just reflect that I reflect now on the longevity for myself with my own wellness, health and wellness, the longevity of myself as a surfer, and the longevity of working in the online space as an entrepreneur. Right now, I'm aligned with this one specific business vehicle. As you are seeing me here on YouTube, this is my side hustle, my passion project. However, I think it's being able to not put the pressure on yourself that you think that you should be at a certain place and space, because everything can always change. And it's actually what I have learned and what I can share with you, and whatever you would like to take away from this video and this message and these insights that you take away from this video, is that the most important part is that you continue to keep showing up in the areas of your life where you're showing up for. So most people want that instant gratification. Oh, I just want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to be married. I want to have all the material things. I want to feel in flow and happy all the time. And what's most important is it's so valid and important to realize that we are humans. We are spirits existing in this human form today, in this time-space reality, in this vortex right now that we know of currently right now. For me, it's 2025 whenever you are seeing this video. However, the most important thing is that we get to have this one lifetime and we get to create whatever life we want to create. We are the ones that have control over what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and the actions that we take for living out the life and making the decisions and the choices that we have that ultimately are then create consequences and results of what the life is. So everything that we decide today will be the result which happens tomorrow. And what's really interesting is that it's so important for us to realize as humans that life is not perfect and nobody's life is perfect. And we're going to have the fluctuations and the flux of the highs and lows and the ins and outs, and when we feel good and when we don't feel good, and when things are in flow and when things aren't in flow. And it's so important to accept that we're going to have times when we get frustrated and angry, and sometimes we feel stuck and we're sad. But it's important to, first of all, acknowledge and accept and validate and give permission to yourself, like it's okay to feel like that. And it's also important on the spectrum of that, on the other end of that, that you are also allowed to celebrate and feel good when things are in flow. Some people also feel shame when things are going too well or when they are successful, and they feel shy about that because they're scared usually, and people live in fear always of what like other people think of us. And it's important just to always, we know that we should never compare ourselves to anybody else's life where they're at, because we're all at these different stages in our own life phases. But to accept where you're at, and then to keep going and showing up in your life with what you're doing. Because ultimately over time we have certain goals, and it's who we're actually becoming and who we're being in the process, in the pursuit, in the flow of what we desire for the future. And that's the beauty of life, is that you keep getting to show up and be yourself and become whoever you need to be. And it's this like beautiful journey. And I think to my yoga practice, back to my Ashtanga practice, and this is what made me want to sit down and share with you because of what Festus had said, is that it reminded me of my Ashtanga practice. Now, Ashtanga is when you practice, there are certain series and there are certain sequences that you practice, and it's a 6 days a week practice and you have 1 day off. And it's about being able to always do the same practice, the same sequence, the same set of postures, but you show up on that 6 out of your 7 days a week to practice. And the practice is not, oh, what series you're at, or how good you're doing your pose, or how bad the pose you feel like, or how stiff you feel today, or how not in flow today. But the practice is actually just showing up every day on your mat to breathe through and have that presence and awareness and acceptance of how you are in each posture, moment to moment, breath to breath. So because it's the practice of showing up every day and doing that and accepting, that's where you're at. And that's the practice, what Ashtanga taught me. And it's a very dynamic, a very strong practice. Back in the day, I was practicing primary series and secondary series all the way up to Titibhasana, I believe. That's where I got to. And then I added on like handstands and scorpion at the end. And I had all these like back bends and handstands and things, all these really dynamic, strong things that I was doing. Okay, so maybe it's not the best setup, but it's the best that I can do for now. So it just made me realize, and it's so interesting, I've really through the years like learned to honor my past. Of course, always stay excited about my future and not to judge myself. And if you are a woman watching this, you will know that your hormones fluctuate throughout the month. And I have found in the last couple of weeks that because I'm tired from surfing and juggling all the other areas in my life of an evening, it's hard for me to make decisions or think really clearly or be really productive in business. And it's usually when I'm really, really tired that I'm not sharp with my mental clarity. And maybe this is also the fluctuations of like hormones and chemicals in a woman's like body and mind that happen throughout our monthly cycle, that I start to sometimes like, sometimes I drop into like lack, or like I get anxious or worry about like, where I'm at in life, and all things about like business or about surfing or about relationships and things like this. And now actually it's so interesting. Everything comes to you when it's supposed to. And I came home and I listened to that reel of what Festus had shared, and I really respect him, his career and who he is, and because I know him personally. And it really touched my heart with what he shared, because it definitely holds true for me. And this is what I wish to share to you, is that it doesn't matter where you are in your life, and the most important part is that you just keep showing up and don't worry about what other people are saying or what you judge for yourself. You've just got to keep showing up. If you really have passion and love and heart and soul for what you want to do, and you have your dreams and your visions, then you just keep showing up to do that. Because if you're on the right path and it's what you're meant to be doing, then your path and things will appear from the universe that keep you on track of where you're meant to be. And the things that don't work out, it actually means that they're not the things for you. So sometimes when we get upset, for example, if we don't get that job, or if a relationship ends, or if friendships end, or if something doesn't happen for you, it's because it's not meant to, and that actually there's something more and better and more aligned for you that's supposed to be delivered and come into your life. And I know that is a hard thing to accept. And I relate this, if any of you are single right now, or maybe you haven't created the professional success or financial success, or maybe you're not in like the dream life yet. It's just because it hasn't happened yet, and it's just because you haven't become yet who you need to be for that to actually be your reality. And it's part of the process of things come and go, people come and go, experiences come and go, and we experience different circumstances, and we have different experiences and relationships and moments and times in business and in surfing and in every area of your life. But the most important part is that you keep showing up, and that you accept, okay, this is where I'm at, but you also have the powerful realization and the power of your own intentions. And if you hold those close to your heart, that you can actually help to co-create what you truly want for the future. Because yes, it is important to think first of all and manifest and visualize what you desire, but then you've also actually got to take some action and do some things that are going to start to create that momentum and create that flow to allow you to start to move forwards to what it is that you desire. I know that you know what I mean, and I know that you can comprehend what I am sharing, but it's always at what point in your life are you actually open to what the universe is giving to you, or what somebody is telling you, or what you are reading or you consume. Because it's really important to be in that openness and to be in that acceptance, that you can actually allow into your life then what is meant to, and what is meant to come in. And if it's not come in, either you're closed or it wasn't meant to come to you. But in order for those experiences and those people and the wealth and all the abundance and all of that to start to come in, you've got to be in this receiving mode, this open mode, so that there's space for you to actually receive that. And I feel like I'm sharing this with you because some of these things that I share with you always, or everything that I share with you always, are my own realizations and insights that I've been able to embody and feel into and make sense for myself to then share for you. And I do this recently for business. I'm on my business journey, and I've been in the online space now for 5 years. I mean, I have been creating content, like Like I've been creating content through this YouTube channel since I think 2008, and then obviously stepped into, 2018, and then I stepped into this business vehicle in 2020, and I've been with this business vehicle now going on 5 years, but I did step away for about 10 months. However, what I mean to say is that I feel like if I'm playing this, right, for the long-term game, right? How can you be sustainable in your life after you've accepted where you're at? How can you then play the long-term game and be sustainable for a longer period of time where you're actually able to keep showing up and to keep being in the practice and the awareness and the acceptance of where you are in your health, in your wellness, in your business, in your wealth, in your friendships, with your family, with all the different areas of your life, to be able to sustain that over a long time, right? Instead of just always wanting instant gratification, because really, of course, we all want this, we all want that, but it just doesn't seem to work like that. I mean, maybe it can. Things can happen really quickly. And for some people, they are very good at manifesting things very quickly. For me, what I have learned and what I have observed about myself and what I continue to focus on elevating and expanding for myself in the different areas of my life is that I learn things, I try to comprehend the things, embody them, and then allow them to be experiential, right? And I feel for business, that if I think of, okay, the experience that I have since I stepped back into the business, not quite a year yet, but I was really able to step into because I had developed, and I've shared about this, I had developed in my own self personally. When I first stepped into entrepreneurship, I was at the mindset and at the frequency and the vibration and at the life experience where I was. And I put in, and I continue to do, but I had put in so much of my effort more at that stage into investing in business coaches and mentorships and workshops and programs, everything to do with the digital skills, which is really, really important, obviously, if you're working in the online space, if you're working with digital medium, all of those things. And then I had a burnout. There's videos you can watch through my channel that I burned out. And I actually stepped back into the business, but in August of last year. However, I had invested in last year a mindset and manifestation course, and it was the best thing that I could have done, because stepping back into the business, I have had more success and flow and feel more confident in myself as a businesswoman, as a business owner, because I was able to dedicate that time to developing for the personal development, for the inner work. Okay, apologies. My Gojek food delivery has just arrived. So I really wanted to just share with you those insights. I was very, very moved and inspired by Festus. I haven't seen him since I had first connected with him. We've been in connection and messaged over the years, but our paths have never crossed again. But I'm very, very grateful that at this stage of my life that I got to hear that, because it is so important. Look, my background used to be, I was a full-time yoga teacher, and before I became a surfer, as you know, I'm a surfer living here in Bali. I'm a business owner. I'm with a high-ticket vehicle. I work online. I create content. You see all the things that I'm doing. Before, though, while I was still teaching yoga, I was following my yoga teachers, Mark and Deepika, around the world. I'm practicing Ashtanga yoga, and I was very much in the yoga world. And I'm so grateful for my background as a yoga instructor, because it just allows me the yoga practice, and at times I could dedicate more time for my yoga practice. I do a very short, I like to call it a minimalist yoga practice. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe it's a 15-minute practice, but I have a very short practice. I basically still meditate every day about 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Sometimes it's 10. But what I found with my yoga practice is that it's the consistency. It's the consistency of always showing up to do the practice and to have awareness, right? Because we all seem to have busy minds and busy lives. But wouldn't it be beautiful, and I invite you, wouldn't it be beautiful to have more awareness and acceptance of where you're at in your life, wherever you're at in your life, wherever you're watching this in the world. I invite you, after you finish watching this video, to sit down down and just allow yourself to ground yourself. And you can even close your eyes and just take some like deep breaths in and out and bring some awareness and presence and acceptance to the here and now. It's very, very powerful. No music, no sound, just your breath and connection with yourself. Because at the end of the day, we are, and this is what I believe, and this is what I embody, that we are spiritual beings in this human existence, in this human form, in this time-space reality vortex that we're in right now. And I think it is also to accept. It's wonderful to to want more and to have wild dreams and goals. And it's also beautiful to accept your past and whatever that past may have been. I really have had to accept a lot in my past. What's happened, who I was, what I've done, what I didn't do, who I dated, who I was with, all the things, right? But wouldn't it be beautiful, and this is what I invite you, is that, and I will share again what Festus shared, it doesn't matter where you're at on your journey. The most important part is that you accept it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I really do hope that this video brings you some value and some vibe. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. Please leave me a comment in the feedback section or feedback in the comment section. Share with me any content you would like me to unpack and discuss with you. Otherwise, I will see you next video. Good night. See you next video. Bye for now.